WFG stands for World Financial Group. We are in alliance with over 75% of Fortune 500 financial institutions, banks, and insurance companies. We've surpassed companies that have been around for decades, companies I'm sure you've heard of, like Charles Schwab and Merrill Lynch. And today, I am proud to announce that we're now recognized in the top 1% of over 8,000 broker dealers in the country and number one for women in the industry. This morning, you're going to hear the story of a well-established company with close to $500 billion in assets that's in the process of revolutionizing the entire financial services industry. With the philosophy of no family left behind, we are rewriting the record books and the way that financial products are distributed not only in this country, but around the world. So I'm going to introduce you our two speakers this morning. Our closing speaker is my personal mentor, someone who has completely changed my entire life. For close to a decade, I've worked directly with him. He previously was in the United States Marine Corps. He carried the colors for United States Presidents Clinton as well as Bush Sr. He's been in this industry and in our company for close to 25 years now, and has been influential in changing thousands of people's lives. He has offices all across the country, is in business with his beautiful wife, and is now, for me, personally changed my life and many other people. So I introduce you to Mr. Daniel Charlier. Morning, Dan. And now our opening speaker is someone who I greatly admire. She is a USC graduate. Go Trojans, right? Sorry, UCLA and any UCLA grads on for us today. She comes to us with over 30 years in real estate development. She was dedicated to helping first-time home buyers be able to purchase their first home and did that for over 5,000 families. And she took that mission, brought it into our company and with our industry with helping families be able to build a strong foundation for their own financial home. She skyrocketed through the ranks of our company, and she's just taken names and competitive and someone that you will definitely get a lot of great value out of today. So I introduce you to Ms. Stefani Goldman. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Pavlina, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I adore you. Beautiful young face, brilliant, and just with a great heart. I appreciate you and that introduction. Good morning to everybody, especially the people who are on and looking at our overview, listening to us for the very first time. I appreciate your time on a Saturday. We value your time, and we hopefully will bring a lot of value to you this morning. You'll be hearing from Dan, again, one of my mentors, somebody that just operates on a high frequency. And during this time, that is really important to hang out with people who do operate with positivity. So I'm just gonna get right into it. First, I'm gonna start off by sharing a little bit about myself. I am one of 7 children. I am a native to Los Angeles. Quite frankly, a 5th generation. My kids are a 6th generation. We are Californios, so we were here when California was Mexico, and we just have planted our flag here. I'm grateful for that. I am the first of my family of many generations, including all of my 7 children, to graduate college. And just like Pavlina said, I did go on to USC and get my law degree. But you know, what I did there, and I'll talk about this, that's most important, was I took advantage of something that I was good at. I took advantage of the fact that education was foundational to me, and mostly access. I figured, you know, that education and going to USC would give me access to opportunities, and we're going to share some access for you guys today. Yes, I did love doing what I did. I was hired out of law school with a Fortune 500 company called KB Home, a national company. And with them and alongside them, with a great backer, I built over 5,000 homes. And our mission there was to basically get first-time home buyers the opportunity to buy their first home. I loved what I did there. I also went out on my own. You can see the bottom picture there as a developer, and have also developed many homes on my own. That one down there is a fully sustainable home in Hawaii, a wonderful project, really proud of that. But more than anything, I'm proud of the picture on the right, my 2 children, Asia and Julian. Julian just turned 18, applying for colleges. Again, we'll talk about access and how a single mom can pay for those 2 kids to get through colleges. And also super proud of being on stage with my daughter there in yellow, with this company, basically earning my first $100,000 here. Super proud of that, and the mentors I have behind me. But here, what we want to do is tell you more about the mission of this company. And the mission of the company is that families of all walks of life build their futures, have a strong foundation for themselves financially. And we're going to share. My job is to share with you what we do and how we do it, and some of the fundamentals behind what we do. And while you're listening to us today, would you mind considering these three questions: whether or not you or someone you know could benefit from what we're sharing with you today, and whether or not this information could help you or your family financially, particularly during this time. I think we're more relevant than ever. We're virtual, we're across the nation, and whether or not we can bring this to your home and benefit you. And are you intrigued by the business opportunity, which Dan will share with you? And so here's what I want to talk to you about, especially coming from 30 years of being a builder. One of the things that I strived is, of course, was, as you saw in that first picture, is building a foundation, a very strong foundation. One of the reasons why I joined KB Home in the first place is because I wanted to help as many families as I could get into their first home. And I figured, instead of opening up my own mom and pop shop, that why wouldn't I align myself with a company that could do something really big across the nation, help as many families as possible. So when I transitioned over here to WFG, I saw the same fundamentals. I saw that we were grounded in a very large company, Aegon, a company that is a global Fortune 500 company, and backed by 424 billion in assets. And basically what I did was able to set up shop with that kind of backer behind me. I'm super proud of that. And how Aegon is a company out of the Netherlands. They're a global company, and for them to become stakeholders here in the United States, what they did was they purchased Transamerica. They did that in 1999, and they put up $11 billion to do that. They are grounded here. We are a number one company. And how we market ourselves is through an arm called WFG, a wonderful marketing arm. All of our back office and support comes from them. So we are definitely grounded in the backbone globally and nationally here, with Aegon as our backer. And if you don't mind, we'll move on to the next slide. So one of the other things that I love about doing this, and why I joined, is because we're just to pull a little word out of my legal background of fiduciary. And what that means is that it's, instead of a company, I don't want to pick a name out of the hat, but a company that only has their products to offer you, and therefore are really selling you something. What we're here to do is provide a platform for our clients so that we can tailor a plan, a fundamental financial plan unique to their household, based on one important question, which is what matters to them the most, what goals are they trying to reach, to just share and ask yourself right now, in this current environment, what is it fundamentally that you're trying to do? If it's you're trying to get some debt out of the way, whether you're trying to secure a future for your family, or you're like me, where I am financing two children going through college. My son is applying for colleges now, and he for sure will get into a top school in the nation, and I will for sure be able to pay for that. So if that's one of your goals, then we select through the companies that best provide that plan for you. So some of the company names here: Nationwide, Pacific Life, Transamerica. And one of the companies that I'm working with right now, Symetra, I want to mention, because they have been recently, their backer is Sumitomo, and Warren Buffett just put $6 billion into the backing that company. That company is on our platform, A+ rated companies. And with that, we have a full service operation here to provide whatever your family needs, whether you're just getting started out with, want to put away $50, or whether you're really in retirement mode and you want to secure savings for the long haul. We'll help you out with that. So here's the thing that I have always really valued. And one of the things that I've learned that really provides sustainability for a family is education and access. And so what I'm going to do is share a few things about that with you. And one of the tools that we use to share with you in terms of education is one of the four cornerstones of financial stability. What do those four cornerstones say? One of which is we need to protect our, like we protect our car if there's an accident. We need to protect our incomes. We need to protect our savings. We need to know where to put it to grow your savings. So let's say you take the same $10,000 and you put it in one place. That $10,000 could double over a 7-year period of time, or that 10,000 and turn into $20,000. Or you could put it in the wrong place where it's not safe, and you could wind up with zero out of that $10,000, or you could wind up with $20,000. So what we do is we educate you and share with you and tailor a plan so that you can grow your money so it's protected and safe, and also so that you don't subject it to tax risk. We'll go more into that, but I just wanted to share with you some of the educational backbone of what we do. And then moving on, one of the things that we fundamental, absolutely fundamental, and we're talking, I've gone through Cal State Northridge. I graduated as an economics major, Cal State Northridge. I'm going to do a shout out to Adriana, who's on the call today, one of my, an alum from Cal State Northridge. And she's educated, I'm educated, go through law school. And one of the things that I didn't ever come across was the rule of 72. And that rule is very simple. It's a way for you to see how you can compound, just like what I was talking about, take $10,000, turn it into 20, or all the way on the right, if you've got the right interest rate on your side over a long period of time, turn $10,000 into $600,000. And basically what that means, what this rule of 72 says, is if you divide the interest rate into 72, let's say it's 1% interest, then it's going to take you 72 years to double that money. Now, I'm in my 50s. I don't know. I think there's one person on the planet that's 120 years, but I don't think I'm going to get as much value out of my money if I have to wait 72 years to double it. But if I know where to put my money all the way on the right, where I can get 10% interest, particularly if that interest is also in a tax-free category, then in my lifetime, even in my 50s, I can double my money. And that's certainly what I would want to do. And I would want to be educated. Wouldn't you want to be educated to know where you could put your money so that you could turn 10 into 600 rather than 10 into 20? So if the next slide comes up, I'll share with you another educational tool for you to think about: options for your money. So you've got three options for your money: fixed, variable, or index. In the fixed category, this is like your bank account. This is your savings account. And this flat line, and we'll be generous to the banks and say that they're giving 1% interest on the money that's sitting in there. There's a place for a fixed account, and basically that's for your monthly. That might be your emergency fund, or where you keep your rent. That's where you keep your rent, your mortgage, your monthly expenses. So you have easy access to it, but it's certainly not where you're going to grow your money. It's certainly not going to be where you're going to be able to put away money for your college, for your kids to get to college, if it's just sitting there in cash. And then the next category is variable. So this represents the stock market, particularly if it's going up and down and all around, as we saw in March, late March of this year, where many people went below this line here and lost a good amount of their principal. So you want to be cautious, you want to be knowledgeable if you're going to be in the variable market. And then there's my favorite, particularly as I plan my future and want to keep some security for my family, the index account. And basically what that does is it's like a step. So what it does is you preserve your principal. And when you get your gains, just like those little locks are showing, those gains are locked in. And as you step up, as the market steps up, you step up with the market. And if the market takes a loss, then you're going to be locked in where you are. You might get zero, but zero is definitely better than nothing. Zero is definitely better than negative and losing any of that principal. So simple fundamentals, simple educational tools that we share and are transparent with our clients that you learned coming on board with us. And then really, this is super important in the United States here, the tax boxes. So one of the things you want to be very aware of, so the money, let's say you have your money sitting, I'm going to go out of order here, in the middle box, the blue box where you're taxed later. Basically, the reason why I'm focusing on this is because the bulk of people have money in their 401ks. So what that advantage that gave to them is it gave them the advantage that they didn't pay as many taxes in the year that they earned and put that money in the 401k. But the problem is they are completely in the dark of what the tax rate's going to be in the future when they pull that out. So 10 years from now, do we know what the tax rate's going to be? No. The myth is that it will be lower because you'll be earning less. But given that fact that we're going to in a pandemic, we're all probably going to need to extend our working years longer. And so that may or may not be true. And even if it is that your tax basis is lower because you're earning less, doesn't mean that the government's not going to increase those taxes. Given the fact that we have just flooded the market with a lot of extra cash, my guess is those tax rates are going to go up, and you want to avoid that risk. So what I want to focus on, so then there's the tax now. So if going into the red box, going out of order here, if you are in the stock market, you have money in your savings account, and you earn, let's say you earn $35, $45, you get that one little 1098 that comes to you, so you can tack that onto your papers when you send that over to your accountant for your year end. That's going to get taxed now. That $38 they pay you, the $50 they pay you, $168 they pay you, you're going to get taxed on that today. And then there's the category with the gold in the background, the tax advantage category. This is an area where we like to focus on and educate our clients. I have moved the majority of my money into this category. And the advantage to that is, yeah, I'm going to pay money on my seeds. So if you can imagine you're a farmer and you have some beautiful seeds and you are going to do an amazing harvest, and you are going to have a wonderful, you brought these seeds all the way from Italy, and you're going to have the most amazing tomatoes. And then when you're going to harvest all those tomatoes in the future, the tax man's going to knock on your door and say, hey, I want my share of the money that you just made from those beautiful tomatoes. In this case, if you're in a tax advantage category, that tax man cannot knock on your door. And so all the rewards from you doing that harvest are yours. And that's an area that you really want to sit down with someone who invited you here and understand what that tax category can do for you, particularly as we go into the years following this pandemic. And here is, now we don't own any products, as I shared. We're an open platform. We have over 200 A+ providers for us to tailor a plan to you. But really what our product is, which is amazing because it's available free to you. And I would definitely encourage you to, would you want to sit down with somebody who could educate you and that you could share your goals and dreams, and they could tailor a plan like the Wizard of Oz? You know, if you could get that yellow brick road going to the place where you want to go, would you think that that would be valuable? Well, we offer that to you for free. And what we do when we're sitting down with you is so incredible and can lead to your financial independence. We sit down and we review your cash flow. Now, cash flow comes in form of your income, but it could also come in the form of you reducing your expenses. If you've got debt and you can reduce that debt or the interest rate on that debt, then that's going to put more money in your pocket. And then emergency fund. We definitely encourage people. We all know that we've just gone through an experience where people were really strapped, and 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund was really actually pushing it. And then debt management, like I said, consolidating debt or trying to strive to eliminate debt, or putting you on a budget so that you can feel like when you get up in the morning that you're in charge of your finances. Again, having proper protection. So God forbid I'm the only provider in my family. If for some reason I got sick and there was a loss to my income, I have full protection for that. I have 2 dependents, and my mom is one of my dependents. And I don't want anything to compromise me being able to provide income for my household. So I'm very well protected. Build wealth. And so again, like I said, knowing where to put your money so that it can grow and that you don't need to lose your money. Warren Buffett, I mentioned earlier, smart guy. He says there's no particular reason why you should lose your money. That should not become a habit. Preserving your wealth, again, reducing taxation and building a family legacy. So we're here for you. I would encourage you to get on the call with your whoever invited you to sit down and actually have them go through this analysis completely for free. So anyway, my time's up. This is what hopefully I have provided you with some value. But what I want to do right now is transition to something, one of my favorite things to do on a Saturday morning, which is to introduce you to Dan Charlier. Wow, do I love this guy? And I'll tell you why. He vibrates on a plane that is just amazing. He has positivity backed with knowledge, just a wonderful human being, a family man. So anyway, a little background on him. A Marine, a decorated Marine for 13 years. He gave up his full pension with the Marines to come on board with us to share his practice. His Marine practice really is relevant to what we do. A decorated Marine has been in the White House with all his colors, and he's sharing those colors with us this morning. And I am proud to introduce Dan Charlier.
All right, Stephanie. Stephanie, I'm so excited when I found out that you and I were speaking together. You have such an incredible story, and I love to see that you transitioned from a totally different industry to this industry. And more than that is you having the vision to see where your life can go the next 5 to 10 years, and just challenging yourself to reinvent yourself in a totally new industry and have that vision of what that can look like for you and your family the next 10 to 15 years. So congratulations. So excited to be in business with you. Good morning. This morning, there's actually 3 questions that should be answered for you. And Stephanie answered the first 2 questions. The first question is, is this a credible company? I remember, when I first looked at the opportunity back in 1998, that was one of the concerns for me because I had been in the military for 13 years and I was considering, like Stephanie said, walking away from my 13-year career. And one of my concerns is that, I like to make decisions that are long-term decisions. And I also understand that the number one rule in business is to stay in business. So when you look at the credibility of our company, when you look at Aegon, Transamerica, and World Financial Group, Aegon is a household name globally. They're 543 billion in assets. Forbes magazine in July just came out with the top 2,000 leading companies in the world, and Aegon was placed in that. The second question that should be answered for you, which Stephanie eloquently went over, was our crusade of what we do, financial literacy, of educating families. I want you to think this through. Every now and then, a new idea comes to an old industry and revolutionizes that industry. So I remember when I looked at the financial literacy, when someone sat down with me, my mentor sat down with me in 1998 and showed me the Rule 72. And I remember thinking to myself, I remember when he said, Albert Einstein called the Rule 72 the 8th wonder of the world to show how powerful compound interest is. And I remember when he talked about the accountants call it the accountants rule, the bankers call it the bankers rule. But when you're making $2,800 a month, I mean, let's keep it real. You ain't got no banker. You got a teller. You know what I mean? You don't have an accountant. You're doing your own taxes, right? So I remember the first time that I heard those financial concepts. I remember the first time that I heard the tax now, tax deferred, tax advantage, the high cost of waiting. And someone did a financial needs analysis for me. And at the time, my goal for retirement, when you're in the military, you're going to spend, you got to be in for at least 20 years plus to get your retirement. And my retirement was 40% of my base pay, right? And it's the craziest thing. I remember my mentor said, Charlier, you can't even live on what you're making now. And when you're retired, you're only going to get 40%. So what's the reality? The reality is most people never retire. Most Marines after 20 years, or if you're in the military after 20 years, after 20 years, you never retire. So you go out and get another job. So I remember that was my goal. I was going to do 20 years in the Marine Corps. I did aircraft rescue in the Marine Corps. I was a firefighter and I was going to do my 20 years and I was going to go get another job for another 20 years. And I remember when he did my financial needs analysis and he put a plan together for me. He said, well, Charlier, if you know you're going to lose 40% of your base pay, wouldn't it make sense for you to have a long-term game plan where you have enough money saved in a long-term vehicle where you can offset that 40% and get more? And I remember when he said that and he actually put a plan together for me, I remember feeling, oh my God, everybody needs to learn this information, right? And here's what I found over 22 years. Mathematically, it's impossible for you to become financially independent and debt-free. You know, sometimes we ask families, right, from a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how motivated are you to become financially independent and debt-free? Well, obviously, everybody wants to become financially independent and debt-free. But if you don't know the rules of the game, you guys, it's impossible. Like if you look at the actual stats, and that's pre-COVID. I mean, we don't even know the stats and the effect of what COVID is going to have the next 3 to 4 years. But pre-COVID, the actual Census Bureau, the stat was 73.8% of Americans retire in poverty. That's less than $10,000 a year to live on, less than $833 a month. So our crusade is really powerful. And I remember thinking to myself, it's one thing to be able to make a difference, but it's something totally different to be able to fix an indifference. So when you look at our crusade and financial literacy and what we do for middle income families and upper middle income families, and we also help affluent families too. Now we represent them to the financial service industry instead of representing the companies and the brands that you're familiar with to them. Then what I'm going to cover is the opportunity. I believe, bar none, this is the number one business opportunity, bar none. Now I'm biased because I've been doing this for 22 years, but I've also seen a lot of different businesses. I've been around a lot of my really good friends. They've been in business for 20, 30 years. I've seen a lot of different business models. And I'm constantly comparing our business model to their business model. I think about it. In 1998, I'm making $2,800 a month. And I remember when I met my mentor and he showed me this opportunity, right? You know what it cost me to get started here? It's funny, my wife is from Germany and she came to the US 3 years ago with an investment visa, which means that she has to buy a business. So she bought we're in California, and she bought a restaurant in Agoura Hills, and she had to write a check for $300,000 to buy that restaurant, right? Now, here's the reality. The restaurant didn't open for 2 years. Then if you're in California, Agoura Hills, you know that area, we had major fires, right? All the businesses in that area shut down, and she had to shut down her restaurant a year and a half ago, right? So when you look at 95% of small businesses go out of business their first 5 years. And most business owners, if they could just break even, not even make money, just break even, they're a success. And I looked at our opportunity. I got started with $100, got started here. I got my life insurance license with the state of California, my securities license with the state of California. And I got out the Marine Corps in 1999. My first year, it wasn't even a year, my first 10 months, I netted 180,000, right? First year of the business, right? So there's no financial service experience necessary, right? Because what we do is I rather, now we have some people that come from the industry, whether it's the insurance industry or the real estate industry or the mortgage industry, or things like that. But most of the people that get started are just like myself and like Stefani and all of our other leaders. There's no financial service experience necessary. So that's really powerful. And I was able to start part-time. I didn't have to leave my job. So we have a part-time opportunity, which is really powerful. You can earn while you learn. There's no time clock, which I love. I spent 13 years waking up to an alarm clock. And the last 22 years, it's great not having to wake up to an alarm clock, which is powerful, right? There's unlimited earning potential. I remember when my mentor said, Charlier, could you imagine, this is back in 98, could you imagine turning your annual income into a monthly one? I remember thinking to myself, like, who does that? Like, I'm making like $36,000 a year. And he says, you don't have to believe it, Dan. I just want you to imagine it. And I remember laying in my bed. I'm in a 900 square foot apartment, and I'm looking at the ceiling. I was like, wow, what would life be like if I made $36,000 in 1 month, right? So I love that unlimited earning potential. I remember when it happened. Um, Leadership development and mentoring business models. You want to be successful? Well, one, you got to have a burning desire, right? So there's always been something inside of me. Like, I don't have anything against being average, but I just don't want to be average. I want nothing average, right? I want to play it all out. I've always been a dreamer, even when I was broke, even when I was making 2-3 grand a month and I was working construction, 10-hour days, making $100 and being fired up. I was always a dreamer. I was always looking on the other side of the fence. I was the man. I wonder what it feels like to live in a house like that. I wonder what it feels like to drive a car like that. I wonder what it feels like. I was always been a dreamer, right? And in 1998, when I met my mentor, he says, "Hey, we can bring those dreams to life. You need a couple of things. One, you got to have a burning desire, right? Number two, you got to have a platform. You have to have a business opportunity that allows you to achieve those dreams. And number three, you got to have a coach. You got to have a mentor, right? So we got a leadership development and mentoring business model, which is very powerful. Got strength on your side, the power of choice, business expansion, which means that we're licensed to do business in all 50 states. On this Zoom right now, we've got people in all 50 states that are listening to this presentation. We've got a system here, right? So if you bought a McDonald's and you go to a Hamburg University in Chicago, McDonald's has what they call a franchise format system, right? So you get people to run the system, and the system actually runs your business. Because if you don't have a system, the challenge is, like, I got a buddy in Beverly Hills, and he's one of the top surgeons in Beverly Hills, right? Well, guess what? If he's not performing a surgery, he doesn't make any money. So he doesn't have any leverage. He doesn't have any residual and override income. We got an equal opportunity for all, diversified field force, which means that it doesn't matter whether you're white, you're black, you're tall, you're short, you're fat, you're skinny, you're a woman, you're a man, you're young, you're old. There's a clear opportunity for you to win here, which is really powerful. And we grow the underserved market, right? Which is middle America, right? Now we help everyone, but our focus is middle America, because middle America is overlooked by the number one industry. We've got the financial needs analysis, the affiliation, the world-class events. We do we just had our annual convention. We did it via Zoom, and it was like really freaking awesome. We had thousands of people on there. We've got technology and business tools, and it's an amazing, amazing opportunity. Now, let's talk about income. Let's talk about making money now. We got 5 ways to earn income. You got personal income. You're a licensed agent. You're able to help families, like Stefani talked about. You've got agency income where you can build a business. You got some leadership skills. It's great that you're successful, but can you help other people become successful? You've got expansion income. If you have a vision to have your business in all 50 states, you've got bonus income, which means that your business is profitable on a monthly basis. There's 3 different bonuses that we participate on a monthly basis, which is powerful. And we've got reoccurring income because we're dealing with insurance and investment-based products. If you were talking to me one-on-one and you said, Charlier, you kind of sold out about WFG, but let me ask you a question. If you were going to do anything else, which I haven't done anything else for 22 years, I've only done this that brought an income to me, right? But if you said to me, Charlier, if you were going to do something else, not WFG, if you were going to do something else, what would you do? Clear answer. I would never, ever, 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 ever do anything that doesn't bring me a reoccurring income, which means I want to be able to do something once and get paid on it over and over and over. You think about it, right? You think about people in the music business, right? And some of us have been around for a couple of decades, right? And you see these songs that are being played all the time, the oldies but goodies. Do you know someone's still getting a check on that? You know how powerful that is? Can you imagine you create a song in the 80s and we're now in 2020 and you're still getting paid millions of dollars on that? That's called reoccurring income, right? Now, here's the challenge. Some of us have money, but we don't have time. Some of us have time, but we ain't got no money. That's called being broke, right? But very few people have what they call lifestyle. How would you like your life to have some style? That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Right? Where you're able to travel all around the world and no matter where you're at, you're always making money, which is really, really powerful, right? Now, does everybody make it here? Nope. Does everybody make it in real estate? Nope. Does anybody ever make it in the mortgages? Nope. Does everybody that go to the gym get in shape? Nope. Does everybody that go to combat come home? Nope. So we got winners and losers, right? Now, if you want to play to win here, you become a broker, right? Now, I did that my first 90 days. Stefani did that really quick. Stefani became a six-figure earner before she even became a broker, right? Now, you become a broker. We have promotion guidelines, which I love, which means that with the promotion guidelines, we tell you exactly, with exactness, what you need to do to go to the next level, which is powerful. Now, if you're a broker with us and you have life and securities license, if you're an average broker, no one really knows your name, you're making $64,000 a year. That's 1099 income, right? From 64 to about $1 million a year, which is powerful. Now, if you're a broker, you have your life license, your securities license, your advisory license, because we have all those platforms. The average broker paying that arena is $86,000 a year, 1099 income, which means that I want you to think about this. If you had a job, you would need to make at least $120,000 a year to net 86, right? Here, that's just an average broker. You understand how powerful that is? I want you to think about this. The IRS put out a publication, once again, pre-COVID. We don't even know what those are after COVID. 93% of the population makes less than $100,000 a year. 50% of that 93% makes less than $28,000 a year. So sometimes people ask me, well, Dan, how long would it take me to make 100 grand? I said, I don't know. It'd take me a long time. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to bring to the table because this requires work. But let me ask you a bigger question. How long is it going to take you to make 100 grand where you're at? See, because when I was in the military, you guys, if you go on Google right now, you pull up military pay chart, right? And look at the enlisted military pay chart. I could have been in the military as an E9 for 30 years. 30 years. The maximum pay that I would have got was $7,500 a month. You follow me? So when I look at the possibility, see, I look at possibility. Not some of us look for guarantees, right? There is no guarantee. The only guarantee in the real world is you're going to be average and you're going to be middle class and you're going to get squeezed, right? Most families right now, their number one concern, right, is money, lack of money, because they don't have opportunity, right? You become an executive marketing director, which means that you got some leadership skills, right? You're able to develop other people, right? I remember when I first learned that, I said, well, wait a minute. In the military for 13 years, I was always in leadership. I was a color sergeant in the Marine Corps. I was entrusted in colors at the White House, independently in charge of 27 Marines for the Military District of Washington, right? Then I was in leadership. I was in charge of the Marine Corps Silent Drill Team, which is the #1 drill team in the entire world. Then I was a Marine Corps drill instructor for 2 years down at Parris Island, trained hundreds of Marines. You know what never happened? I never got any extra money because I was leading and I was doing that. So when I came here, I said, well, wait a minute. You mean to tell me I can build and develop people what I love to do anyway, and I can make money? So if I can show you how to make 100,000, I can show you how to make 200,000. You make 100 grand. The more money you make, the more money I make. I was like, oh man, game on, right? This is awesome, right? You become a CEO with us, right? Which means that you've got some leadership skills. You develop more brokers. The average CEO is making $350 a year. all the way up to 2.9 million. You develop some more brokers, you have some more offices, and now that we have Zoom, we just went into overdrive now. You think about it. I'm sitting in my home at my home office, and I'm talking to a couple of hundred people right now doing a business presentation meeting. We could do this all day long, right? What about if you become an executive vice chairman? You become an executive vice chairman. The average executive vice chairman is making $823,000 a year, all the way up to $1 million a month. Now, if you take a look at it, right, and you go, hey, you know what? I want to get to six figures. I want to get to 100,000. That's a very small group. And if you make $100,000 a year, if you got a job right now and you make 100 grand a year, you and I know 100 grand ain't a lot of money. If you got a decent house, you got a decent car, not even, I'm talking about decent. You got a decent house, a decent car, decent standards, right? You had 100 grand, it ain't a lot of money. After taxes and all that stuff, ain't a lot of money. Very few people get to 100 grand, right? Then you got another level. You get to $250,000. That's a very small group, right? Just look it up on the internet. For you to get to $500,000 a year, that's an extremely small group. I want you to think about it. How many of your friends, if you called an emergency meeting right now and you said, my best friends, the top 5 people that I spend the most amount of time with, right? I got an emergency meeting. I'm doing an emergency Zoom. I want all. How many of them are making $500,000 plus? How many of them are making $250,000 plus? How many of them are making 100,000 plus? Very few. I remember when my mentor asked me that question back in '98. My 5 buddies, you know what we all had in common? We were all broke. We were all living payday to payday. We were all doing that kind of stuff. So I remember when I got excited about the opportunity, and I said to them, man, I found this opportunity. I'm so excited about it. They were like, Charlier, really? You really think you can leave the Marine Corps and become successful in business? You don't know nothing about business. I said, look, here's what I know. I don't want to be average. I got an unbelievable opportunity. I've got someone that's successful in it, right? That's willing to teach me, right? Now, all I got to be is coachable and teachable, right? Which is really powerful. And that was 22 years ago. Now, if we go to the next page, you take a look at this, there's several types of people that are looking at this opportunity this morning, right? One of the things that I want to share with you, whoever invited you to this business presentation meeting cares for you a lot and wants you to see a real business opportunity that can deliver on your God-sized dreams. So there's 3 types of people. If we could pull up the next slide. There's 3 types of people. Some of you are looking at this opportunity and you're looking at it from a client standpoint, right? Which means that you might be financially independent already, right? And you might have a financial needs analysis already. You might have an insurance person, you might have an investor, but one of the things that you look at, you go, you know what? I would like to take a look at my options. You know why? Because the financial service industry, it's a constantly evolving industry. So there are financial instruments that are available now that were not available 5 to 10 years ago. So one of the things when we do a financial needs analysis, we don't represent any individual companies. So like companies you've heard of, like Stefani talked about, Nationwide, Transamerica, Voya, all the big brands that you're familiar with, Pacific Life. What we're able to do is we're able to look at those life insurance policies, those long-term care policies, right? Your estate. And we look at all of those things and we're able to show you what your options are with what we're doing right now. Then some of you are like, you know what? I got a job right now, even though unemployment's at 58 million people. Some of you are being laid off. Some of you are being laid off right now. Some of you are drawing unemployment right now, and you're just sitting at home. You're not doing anything, right? And you're like, I like to do something part-time. Oh, by the way, those unemployment checks you're getting, they're gonna get at some point, someone's gonna pull the carpet from underneath you, right? So don't get comfortable with that, right? And you're looking at it like, for me, I didn't see myself getting out the Marine Corps. right? Because I love the Marine Corps. But I said, you know what? I want to be part of something. I want to feel like I'm growing. I want to feel like I'm learning. I would love to have the opportunity to be in business for myself, but not by myself, right? So I got started on a part-time basis. Those of you that are interested in a part-time opportunity, you're going to have an opportunity to set up an interview where for like 20, 30 minutes this morning, we kind of jumped up and down to tell you how great we are. In the interview, we get a chance to ask you some questions and get to know you and see if there's a fit. Now, the third type of person that is on here, you're already an entrepreneur. You got a couple of $1,000,000 in the bank. You're thinking about going and buy a couple of businesses, maybe a couple of McDonald's. You're thinking about buying some business, and you're like, well, wait a minute, Dan. What you're telling me here, I don't have to put up 300,000, 400,000. I don't have to put up a couple of $1,000,000. This platform already, all I have to bring is me, and I can build a business. You want to have a different conversation. And those of you out there that are listening to me, we have those people join our business all the time. It's not just people that are middle class, never been in business. We have business people, and their biggest thing is they can't believe how powerful this platform is. So I want to share with you a couple of stories where I mean, we've got so many different leaders that are teeing it up just on our team. We've got local leaders. One of them is Laura and her husband, Franco. They're brokers with us. Laura was in the real estate industry for 20 years. Franco was in the automotive industry for 20 years. And they walked away from those industries, from everything that we talked about. They've been with us for a couple of years. They're now making a 6-figure plus income in Corona, California. Then you have Francis and Jing. I think that's who's coming. Oh, Natalie and Ryan. I've known Natalie and Ryan ever since they were 20 years old. Natalie used to work for Bose. Ryan was a pizza delivery guy. That they have 3 kids now. They live in California towards the Temecula area, and they're making over $250,000 a year. And a lot of their income is passive income, which is really powerful. Then you have Francis and Jing, Jing and Francis. Jing and Francis both come from the healthcare industry. I remember when this couple first got started, they were both nurses, making a great income. They were both working as registered nurses for many years and started working with us. Now they make over $500,000 a year in WFG as dedicated time and income in ministry work. So we've got all different people from all different walks of life. These are just some of our leaders. I mean, I could go on. We've got hundreds of people. I just wanted to highlight a couple of people that you might be able to identify with. So somebody invited you tonight. There's a client review card that if we could pull up the review card, we want you to fill this out. It says, I'm interested in learning about financial solutions. If that applies to you, check that off. Starting a career part-time, full-time, if that applies to you, check that off. Or both of the above, right? Now, those of you that interview, we interview within 24 to 48 hours. So that means this afternoon, right after this Zoom, I want you to think about this. One of the things that, if you ever read a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, one of the things that it says Napoleon Hill says is this, and I'll leave you with this: successful people make decisions very quickly, and they're very slow to change them. Unsuccessful people take a long time to make a decision, and even after making that decision, they change that decision very frequently, right? So you got to make a decision now. Here's the decision that you got to make. Schedule an interview. Schedule a meet with someone one-on-one. Not next week, not 3 days from now, not 4 days from now, this afternoon, latest tomorrow morning, right? And in that 20-minute interview, we'll sit down with you. If you have a partner, if you have a wife or husband, we like for both of you to be on that interview, so that way both of you can see what it is that we do. Thank you. Have an awesome, awesome, awesome day. And then this Tuesday evening coming up from 6 p.m. to 6:40 p.m., we're going to have another business presentation meeting like this. And we want to invite those of you that got started with us, we want to invite you. And we also want to challenge you to bring three people that you know to this business presentation meeting, because we're growing exponentially. We've got a lot of momentum right now, and we're looking for good people that want to do great things within their community. Thank you. Have an awesome morning.